Y'all doing? Yeah, everyone doing all right? Ready for the next thing? Probably thinking about what's next after this. So thank you for having me today. My name is ElDon White, and I might be the guest speaker, but the real treat is I brought my wife, Dr. Laurine, who's a therapist, and is going to add to the context of this conversation and why Black leadership and the framework, which is in that book, is so incredibly important. So happy to be here. Black, like what does that represent? Someone raise a hand and just tell me, what do you think about when you think about the word black? Okay, okay. Who else? Yeah, anybody? No? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So when we think about the word black in the context of this work that we have before you, black leadership is used as a principle. The color black, it absorbs all colors. It absorbs everything. It's the sum of all colors. And so when we think about leadership, we show up as our full selves. Things that we experienced in the past, things we're experiencing in the present in order to become who we're supposed to be in this world. And if we ignore the things that we went through, if we ignore those challenges, do we really grow from it? We don't. And so we have to find a way to go back and understand the things that we went through. So that's where some comes in. See what I went through, the things that, maybe coming up for me in the moment that I might be experiencing, to understand where it's coming from. Is it coming from a situation that is outside of my control? And then manifest a different outcome. Because if you don't understand the thoughts and behaviors that you're having, then you can't change or do anything about it. So if you're experiencing some of the same patterns, some of the same decisions, then there's a point where we can do something about it. And so as we talk today, the theme that we're going with today is you can't help someone else breathe until you can help yourself breathe. And that's an important concept in life. That's an important concept with educators and staff and faculty. And let me ask you all something. When you leave here at the end of the day, are you carrying something with you? Anybody? Thinking about a situation that might have happened with a student?
Yes.
Thinking about a situation that might have happened with a parent, or a guardian? Thinking about what you can do a little bit differently to reach somebody or meet somebody? We've all been there, right?
Absolutely.
And by the head nods, I can see that you all are saying like, hey, yeah, I have experienced that. And it's because it's important to you. And the reason why it's important to you is because you carry something in your profession that other professions don't necessarily carry as much as you. You carry people.
Yes. Yes.
And when you carry people every day, you quietly begin to experience things like burnout. You ever find yourself just emotionally exhausted or just feeling overwhelmed? We do, right? So today, Dr. Laurine and I, we want to share a few practices through storytelling. Some things that we've seen work over the years. For Dr. Laurine, it's over 15 years of trauma-informed therapy in the communities. For myself, it's over 20 years military leadership and C-suite leadership. And also 15 years of special operations and just learning how to utilize some of these skills. But it begins with one simple thing. And we talked about this initially early on. It's the theme. What's the theme? Somebody give me the theme.
The theme.
You can't breathe. Yes, yes, it absolutely does. And so if you're going to help someone else breathe, then you have to help yourself breathe first. I want to tell you a little story. I was about 8 years old. I was at a swimming pool, and it was a great day. I remember this day vividly. And had my trunks on, all the kids are there, everyone's playing. I'm like, I'm about to have a great time. So I immediately get to the edge of the pool and I launch in the shallow end. Cannonball, go! And I splash in the shallow end because I couldn't swim at the time. And so I'm having a great time. And I see the older kids are having a better time because they're older kids and The older always had. So I was like, hey, let me go hang out with them and play with them. So I started moving towards the deeper end of this pool. And as I'm moving now, I'm on my tippy toes and I'm trying to breathe. I got my head just above the water like this. And before I knew it, I slipped. And when I slipped, I was frantically moving in the water and I lost my way. I couldn't find the top. And so in my mind, what I thought immediately was, if I could just get to the bottom, if I can get to the ground, then I can push myself up and I could get my head just above the water so I could take a breath of air. And so I did that. I went all the way to the bottom and I pushed up with everything I had and I took a breath of air. And then as I went back down, I started drinking water again and I was drowning. And I was like, I got to keep doing this. I don't know how long I can do this. I don't know how long I need to do this, but I know that I need to do this if I'm going to get some air in my lungs. So I did it again. I went down and I came back up and I went down again. And it kept happening over and over and over. And just as I passed out, my mother ripped me out of that pool. And I survived. I'm thankful for that. But something really stood out to me in that moment. The thing that stood out to me most is that air was the most important thing that I needed. It wasn't the noise. It wasn't the older kids that were playing. It wasn't who was watching me, who's not watching me. None of those things mattered at all. It was the air that I desperately needed in order to keep living. And educators, staff, and faculty, you represent that air for our children, for our communities.
Yes.
You show up every day for them, and they depend on you. We, as parents, we depend on you.
Yes.
No matter how you're feeling, if you're having a good day or a bad day, we care, but we still need you to show up, our children in our communities, in order to grow, in order to be something more than what we are in this moment. We depend on you to show up every day.
Yes.
And something about oxygen, right? Oxygen, it changes over time how we utilize or how we get oxygen. But oxygen, it's a precious resource and it has to be protected. When we're in space, they use oxygen systems. In water, they use oxygen tanks. Sometimes when we're hiking in Hawaii, maybe we get to the top and we need a little oxygen. So we need an oxygen mask. But it's the reality is that we need oxygen. In education, in our community, you're that oxygen. So how do we protect the most important thing that needs protecting? Because you are the system that needs to be protected. Which leads to a really important question. Is how do we do that? How do we protect who's providing that air that we all desperately need? And this is where we tie into leadership. Because when it comes to leadership, one of the hardest things to do is to lead ourselves. We can show up for students. We can show up for our teammates. We can show up for everybody that needs us. Hey, you need me? I got you. I'll be right there. I'll make a way. I'll make it happen. Because the mission is important to you. But how do you show up for yourself? Are you showing up for yourself? In helping professions, we rarely give that time and space for the things we need. We pour into others. We react instead of reflecting. And over time, that stress slowly changes how we show up. And if we don't learn to lead ourselves well, the pressure of helping profession slowly changes us. And that realization is what led to the development of the SUM framework. See, understand, and manifest. During my time leading special operations teams and later coaching leaders and organizations, I kept noticing that leaders who consistently showed up and helped others grow, there were three things that they did. The first thing that they did is they helped people see clearly. And I'm not just talking about the behaviors that are on the surface. Because as each of you know, it's more about what happened before that. There's context to it. There's a reason for that. It's not just so-and-so did X, Y, and Z, but there's a story that's behind that. Second, they understand what that deeper story is. They seek to understand it. They seek to understand the meaning. And they recognize that it's not surface. That's not the full picture. There's more. And then they manifest environments where people can succeed. That's what you do every day. They shape culture. They create conditions where growth becomes possible. And as I started studying education a lot more closely, it was undeniable that you absolutely do this. You see the students, you try to understand what they're carrying, and you manifest environments where learning and growth can happen. But some isn't just about how we see students or how we see those that we're leading in the workplaces, other associates or teammates. It's also about how we see ourselves. How do you see yourself? So as we go along, I want to encourage you to open this up. There's a note card on it. So as things come up for you as we're talking, I want you to just write your own notes down. It could be on what we're talking about. It can be about what you're noticing at the moment. That's fine, but it's yours. And this is going to go with you. It's your note card, and you can close it up for privacy as well. So when you get done with it. But one of the most important truths is this, is that change is internal. It has to happen here before it happens anywhere else. I can recognize that one of my teammates might need to take some time. They might need to take a day for just a mental health day. Or they might need to take some time away that's a little bit longer than that. I can recognize that. And I can say, hey, why don't you go ahead and take some time for yourself? But if I can't do that for myself, look at myself in the mirror and say, well, hey, maybe there's something I need and I need to address it, then how can I do that for someone in an authentic way? Because people feel words, and you know when words are empty, or you know when words are just like, oh, you're just passing words by. You're just saying something because it's the nice thing to say, or you're saying it because it has real meaning because you believe in it. You believe that you have to take the time to build yourself back up. You have to take the time to understand some of the things that have been holding you back. Some of the things that have stopped your performance or halted your performance or acted as a barrier to growth or acted as a roadblock. You have to take time to understand that so you can manifest a different outcome. You can manifest a different future, which is to act intentionally about the information that you already know. But you can't act intentionally until you are honest with yourselves internally. And sometimes there are things that are outside of our control that may have happened in our lives that we didn't have any control or awareness of. And that's what Dr. Laurine is going to share with you today.
For years, I had the privilege of working with adoptive families. This was my favorite job. Children would come into residential programs for like 16 to 20 weeks, and then they'll try to adjust back into their adoptive families. It was some of the most rewarding work of my life. But with every reward comes challenges. Parents love their children deeply, but love doesn't erase the shadows of trauma. I would often watch mothers and fathers wrestle with confusion. Why does my child react in anger? Why is she pushing me away when all I want to do is love her? One particular young lady will stay with me forever. I remember arriving to work one rainy morning, and I remember this because I was wearing heels, and I was like, why did I wear heels? It was muddy. It was like mud outside. And I slipped in. I was so angry that day. And then my phone rang, and it was the director. And I got a call that she ran away. And before she even said her name, I knew exactly what her name was. And I only had worked with her for a couple of weeks, but in that time, I already faced so many mountains with her. And we grew a therapeutic relationship. She was sharp, she was outspoken, sometimes difficult with the other girls. But I had only seen like glimpses of her courage and strength in her. And something puzzled me. She would challenge the other girls relentlessly, yet she allowed men to speak with her with disrespect. Her history showed no record of abuse. And so I'm like, why is she reacting the way she's reacting? So why did her behavior mirror someone that has survivor trauma? The deeper we worked together, the more truth emerged. Though she hadn't grown up with her birth mother, she had inherited trauma. And that's where epigenetics is. You guys know what epigenetics is? So that is when the parent experiences trauma, your biological parents experience trauma, and you don't necessarily have to be raised with them to have the inherited trauma. So she's responding to situations that her parent was exposed to, not her. And so the reason why we know about epigenetics, because they did this on rat pups, which I love the study. They found that rat pups that were zapped, they were fearful of the zap, and then to the third generation, they were fearful of even going into near the traps. So you don't even have to experience it yourself in order to feel the trauma of your parents. And so imagine going into an adoptive home family and you're getting all this love and support, and they're like, I'm loving you, what's going on? She's responding from trauma that her parents experienced. And this is what we understand as epigenetics. Trauma can be passed down not only through environment, but through biology. And that moment changed how I define leadership. Sometimes behavior is not rebellion. Sometimes it's history speaking through the body. Remember, our body keeps score. Sometimes it's inherited pain asking to be healed. That young woman taught me something so profound, that healing is leadership. Parents, teachers, and leaders must look beyond behavior and into the deeper story. Because if we only correct the action without understanding the wound, we repeat cycles instead of breaking them. And this connects to something educators experience every day. Vicarious trauma. The body and the nervous system don't always know the difference between trauma we experience and the trauma we witness. And I know a lot of you guys, I talk to a lot of educators. I have clients as educators, and they have vicarious trauma. They don't know why they're so anxious. It's the stories that they're hearing all the time. And they're just going. You're going and you're going, it's another day, and you're not pausing to understand what's really going on. It's just, sometimes our bodies respond without, and we're like, what's happening? Until you sit down and you talk to someone, and you're like, oh, it's because what happened to him or what happened to this person. And not only their trauma, it's your own trauma that you've experienced in the past. You guys witness stories, pain, family instability, struggles children bring into the classroom. And over time, that accumulates. It's like a heavy weight on your back, right? Which is why we have the see, understand, and understand ourselves, just how we see and understand the students as well. So we want to leave this simple tool with you that you can use today, tomorrow. You can even demonstrate it with your children. I love the SUM model. I think it's so simple, but yet very concise. When stressful moments happen with a student, parent, or colleague, pause and ask 3 questions. What am I seeing right now? Is this a behavior or is this a signal? And what might I not understand about it? What story could exist beneath the surface? What environment can I manifest next? What conditions can create that help the person succeed? And there's one more question that just as important. What do I need right now to breathe? As my husband demonstrated, what do I need right now to breathe? Because a lot of times we're just underneath water, not even realizing it until it's too late. I always say this phrase, if we do not handle our mental health literally just comes out the blue and it handles us, right? And so we want to take a hold of it. And there's one more, and because leadership begins with the condition of the leader, students need oxygen to grow, but the people providing the oxygen deserve to breathe too. Every successful adult can point to one person who saw them differently. For me, that was my school counselor. She was like, no, you're going to college. And I was like, oh, these grades suck. But I'm so glad I listened to her because I got my doctorate. So she's awesome. She believed in me. Every person needs that one person to see them differently. Every student. One teacher, one mentor, one leader who believed in them. Thank you for being that person, you guys, all of you. Thank you for the work that you guys do, especially Anya's teacher. She's the best. Sorry, that's my girl. Sorry, teacher. And thank you for being the air. Okay, so now you guys, we have this form. And we want you guys, don't have to share, but we want you guys to actually demonstrate. I always tell my clients, without application, there's no change. And so if there any event, trauma, past trauma, or any losses that impact you today. Give yourself a couple of seconds to kind of see that. So you could put see, and then you could put something down underneath there. Or any patterns that like tend to reoccur.
If you're struggling, you can probably start with that snooze button that you hit this morning.
That's me.
That's me.
That was me too.
Wait for the second one. Yeah, we have plenty more if anyone needs one. They get one.
Is that not going to keep one and then I'll be more copies?
Yes,
Yes,
I've got
thank
a few
you.
more copies as well. Let me grab some more. Okay. Got a few more.
Did anybody here on it didn't have one? I'll make copies of it.
All right.
Okay. All right. And then we have understand. When you understand this, is what's connecting your thoughts and behaviors. This is where you have something to change. You begin reshaping thoughts based on your current real data, not the past. So this is healthy change, transformation, and better decision making. So what do you understand about the events that you experience? Or about the trauma that you faced, or about the recurring patterns? What do you understand about it? Where did it come from? And then we have manifest, which is the architectural plan. It's the outcome. When you know resistant triggers, return to inspection. A better outcome or plan with what you now understand through reflection or introspection. So what's a better outcome that you can start to build, right? From what you understand. You guys have any questions?
This is where you take that power. This is where you take that step. And you say, hey, I am becoming who I was created to be. I'm not just existing for who I am today. I'm not settling for that. But there's more. And this is that step. I understand some of the things that I went through. I understand now why I react in certain situations. Like emotional intelligence is one of the largest things that I harp on in the special operations community. And the reason why is like we used to teach it as, hey, it's a soft skill. Like we all know the difference. You got soft skills, you got hard skills. Your hard skills, that technical thing that you're really good at. Soft skills or more of the things like empathy and emotional intelligence. But I would treat it as a hard skill because you can get better at it. You can test against it. It can become technical. And so when you think about how do I manage myself, so self-awareness, self-management. So how is something landing on me? How am I feeling about it? And then how do I manage my reaction to what's going on around me? And then there's relationship management as well. How do I do that with the people that I'm connected to? And then there's social awareness. How do I make sure that I am appropriate in the environment that I'm in? That I am situationally aware, that I am socially aware of the things that are going on outside of my control. because you are in your own control. And when you say something in that environment, then you have the ability to impact it, to influence it, to change it, to direct it, to transform it.
Absolutely.
And so everything that's going on inside here, it's going to come out at some point. And so that's what some exist to do. It exists to understand, it exists to say, okay, where are these patterns coming up from? You know, why am I having such a hard time in this area? And then what can I potentially do about it? Because manifest isn't just like, I hope for something. It's your action word.
Absolutely.
I'm going to act deliberately. I'm going to act with intention to make a difference. So that way my outcome is better than what it started as.
Absolutely. And our trauma is not our identities. The beautiful thing about our brains are that the neuroplasticity in the brain changes through new experiences, through positive reinforcements, to protective factors. And so we don't have to stay or be the person that we grew up as. Our brain changes over time. And so that's the positive part. Even with the rat pups, or even with the adoptive kids, or through time, we don't have to respond to survival modes or trauma. We could respond in a healthy way. But first, we have to get to the root. First, we have to see, we have to understand, and we have to manifest.
All right. So I think we're probably out of time.
Okay. Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you so much.
So,
Oh, no, you're fine. Thank you. Thank
So-
you so much.
what I'll ask
Thank you
is,
so much.
can we all, I want us to take a picture together and holding up the book, and we'll just take a picture together. Is that all right? You guys okay with that? Okay. And then after we take the picture, we'll send these around, but it's just a survey. So just help us get a little bit better. Give us your honest feedback. So as we go into different organizations, you know, we're carrying some of the takeaways and things that we could do a little bit better, or things that you really took away that's super positive that you want us to keep up with.
Are you guys able to stay just a little bit after to sign?
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely.
You all have a copy of the book, so be able to sign. So after we take the picture, we have the PCNs coming in to talk about month of the military child, and then there's one more thing.
Okay.
So,
Thank you, guys.
thank
All
you.
Would you mind taking a like this, and then we'll come over here? Yeah.
Over there with this.